Buenos dias, Anglophonias, or hello, Anglophonians. Well, yes. Why did I talk Spanish? Of course, because this is a lazy joke that we have to go to Spain this time. We are looking at the first serialized comic adventure of Mort and Phil. It is called the Atomic Sulfate.
The Atomic Sulfate is Mort and Phil's first long story, published in Pulgarcito magazine in 1969. The story consists of 44 pages, 2 or 4 of which were printed in each issue of the magazine. In the story we see some of the tropes that Mort and Phil would keep in their careers. The story begins with the two agents being called to their organization's headquarters. The boss reports that the scientist Professor Bacterio has invented a liquid that can be used to combat plant pests. Unfortunately, something went wrong during the development of the liquid. Not only does the agent kill the plant immediately, insects that come into contact with it grow to a giant size. That wouldn't really be a problem. You could simply destroy the liquid. But before Professor Bacterio could do that, agents from the enemy country Tirania, stole a bottle of the liquid and took it to their country's capital. Mort and Phil are given the task of bringing this bottle back. They also receive a spray bottle with a liquid that makes insects grow. However, the problem is that Tirania is a military dictatorship ruled by the brutal ruler Bruteztrausen. Yes, that's its name, Bruteztrausen. Since Mort and Phil don't have valid passports with them, they first have to sneak across the border and then work their way to the state capital to finally face the dictator himself. During their mission, they make extensive use of the liquid that causes insects to grow to gigantic sizes. The Atomic Sulfate is the first long-form comic book story and is considered by many fans to be one of Mort's and Phil's best. It is compared with such great works as Hergé's The Calculus Affair or Franquin's QRN over Bratzelburg from the Spirou series. In fact, the drawing style of the story is very detailed and you can discover many little gags. Furthermore, the story follows a common thread, like the script of a film. Later stories would become more episodic, partly because of the way they were published in Pulgarcito magazine. The tropes that would become typical of Mort and Phil are the strange secret passages through which the two agents enter and leave the headquarters. Then an invention of Professor Bacterio that either drives the story or is its starting point, the slapstick humor, and the grotesqueness, as we experience in this case with the giant insects. As far as slapstick is concerned, it is present in the story in a different form. Injuries that the characters sustain do not disappear immediately, but can be seen on the characters over several panels. For example, at the beginning, when Mort and Phil enter the headquarters and fall into a hole because someone stole the stairs. When they enter their boss's office, they still have the bumps and they remain there throughout the entire scene with the giant beetle until the agents leave for Tirania. The level of detail will decrease somewhat in later stories. The reason for this is that Ibáñez complained that he could have made 3 comics in the time it took him to create this one, and that most readers tend to focus on the fact that it was fun, rather than that the figure has more or fewer wrinkles. We also have to add the circumstances under which the comic was created. In 1969, General Franco was still in power in Spain. Although Ibáñez sends his two agents to a foreign, fictitious country, which is more like Germany, clearly recognizable by the Wehrmacht steel helmets that the soldiers wear, or the German sound of the dictator's name Bruteztrausen. But the events in Tirania also drew their inspiration from the author's immediate environment. In fact, the comics were reviewed by the Spanish censorship board until the end of the Franco dictatorship. Ibáñez was very careful to distort his messages accordingly, and with the Atomic Sulfate he succeeded very well. But the censorship was unpredictable. In another story, the background drawing shows a whale that was attacked by a giant octopus, and next to it another female whale that looked jealous. The female whale misinterpreted the other whale's fight with the giant octopus as cheating. A nice little gag, you could think. But the Spanish censors rejected this, saying that jokes about adultery had no place in a children's magazine. From 1969 on, it would take another 6 years until the death of the dictator Franco. During this time, Ibáñez produced his comics under the watchful eye of the censors. It is not for nothing that the Atomic Sulfate is considered the first masterpiece in the series. It has comedy, slapstick, and also satire. And it laid the foundation for a long series of stories that would only end with Ibáñez's death in 2023.
So there you have it, the first comic book length story of Mort and Phil, the Atomic Sulfate. Okay, until next time, surround yourself with nice people, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you. Yeah.
Hello, this is Yamodorak. I'm calling Jaden James. Come in.
This is Jaden James. Go ahead, Commander.
I have disturbing news about the 6 sisters here in the monastery. Have you heard about it?
I received a report after there were additional deaths. What can you tell me?
As you know, the first sister was found dead after a hailstorm. Now the second and third sisters were murdered.
How did they die? Are there any investigation results from the local police authority?
Well, these strange guards who are supposed to protect the sisters are very uncooperative when it comes to this. They would like to keep everything under the covers. As for the ways of death, the second sister was found upside down in a barrel of olive oil, but apparently she was poisoned first. The third sister was found drowned in one of the tubs in the wellness area. Very strange everything. I've since wondered whether the similarities to the types of death in the novel The Name of the Rose are coincidences or, well, you know, intentional.
Do you think the types of deaths are similar enough? After all, it's different whether you're in a barrel full of pig's blood or olive oil.
Yeah, but the abbey no longer does its own slaughtering, so it would have been difficult to find pig's blood here. I also met the third sister before she died so suddenly.
You met her? Why and what happened? What did she tell you?
Well, after the death of the second sister, I was curious and wanted to search her room. As I said, the Guardians want to keep everything covered up. And I actually managed to get into the second sister's room. However, I heard someone coming, so I hid in the closet. And, well, you know, the third sister was already hiding there.
Have you spoken to her? What did she tell you?
Well, we actually barely said anything. At first we had to be quiet because of the person who had come into the room. And after that, we didn't talk much either. It was more non-verbal communication. But I noticed one thing. The sister had a bundle with her. I didn't see exactly what it was, but it appeared to be a book with a red cover.
Which brings us back to the similarities to The Name of the Rose. Do you think the murders happened because of this book?
It's at least a possibility.
What happened then? Did she take the book with her?
Probably yes. I don't know exactly because I fell asleep.
What? You fell asleep?
Yes, it was very tiring there in the closet together with this lady.
One day you'll have to tell me exactly what happened in that ominous closet. But until then, just keep your eyes open, okay? 3 of the sisters are dead. We have no reason to believe the killer will stop now.
I don't think so either. But okay, I'll keep you informed. Yamodorak, over and out.
Headquarters, over and out.